Hi, welcome to Autism and Enlightenment. I'm Tish. So, I'm 53, got the diagnosis about a month ago that confirmed me that I'm autistic. And so one of the things that I have been processing through over the past few months of knowing for myself, but without the diagnosis of being autistic, and then subsequent of the diagnosis, because it's weird, right? Like, I don't know, for me it was just getting the diagnosis and hearing the numbers, even though I knew it I don't know, it felt like the rest of the realization, I guess, settled in. But this identity crisis, right? And, I have spent 25 years on my healing journey consciously. And in recent times, earlier this year, thinking, why, I've healed so much. Why do I still have some of these things? And then sure enough, that led into the summer going for the diagnosis, and how I've always felt weird, odd. I didn't fit in. Like I was dropped here from another planet or something. And then spending 25 years, and I don't regret it because I've healed through so much of my childhood and other things that have come up. But I wonder how long I would have done that for had I have not been aware of autism and wanting to seek the diagnosis. So having the diagnosis, a lot of things make sense, but then it's also, who am I? Spending all of these decades fitting in and feeling like I have these blind spots in my mind and getting a better understanding of them, trying to find the authentic me. And what does that mean? And, who am I? And accepting and being proud of who I am and the way that my brain is, in spending the decades of learning how to filter, so I wouldn't come across so rude, and saying things with a nicer tone when I'm around others. And anyway, I just have been feeling this sense of an identity. I don't feel like it's a crisis anymore, but I felt a few months ago that it was more of a crisis of, oh my goodness. And it's nice settling more into and understanding better who I am. But I wanted to just put this video out there because if you too are autistic and you're grappling with, what does this mean? Who am I then? And I still have other things to heal, but oh my goodness, I have spent so many years because in light of knowing that I've needed healing, I think there's this part of me that once I'm healed, once I've healed through past trauma, that I'll be normal, that my behaviors will be different. And that just isn't the case, at least for me. So, understanding and recognizing and accepting myself for who I am, how my brain is. And, I'm so grateful for my brain. It has allowed me to do what I have done. Different things that I've been able to develop, come up with healing wise, It's this brain. And it's a culmination, or it's both things, right? It's the brain, and it's also some internal drive of wanting to be normal. And it's funny too, because since I went for the assessment, and then since the diagnosis, I've been sharing it more publicly about the diagnosis. And I really feel like there are probably millions of us walking around that just don't understand, because the testing hasn't been available. I'm grateful I live in Ohio, and I was able to find somebody here. So from the time that I said I want to be diagnosed to the time that I was diagnosed, it only took a few months. But I'm going to say it wasn't cheap. So for those that don't have the insurance, for those who can't afford it, I think it's rather unfortunate that the testing isn't available, and that there aren't enough diagnosticians who can even assess and diagnose. And even the ones that do, are they familiar with women and girls and how we mask? I mean, there's so many nuances in there. But I feel like there are millions of us. I really don't, I think I heard a statistic about 1% of the population or something is autistic. I bet by the time we get to that stage where people can be diagnosed, and the more that we spread the word that, autism looks like me too, more and more people, a few people that I know personally are now seeking a diagnosis. And there are a couple that they aren't necessarily seeking a diagnosis, but they really feel as though they feel it's high probability that they are on the spectrum. So again, I think it's important that we share our stories if and when we're ready to, and to get the word out there. And I can see, this video being about identity crisis, why some people wouldn't want the diagnosis, because it's like the world just stopped. And honestly, I felt like I was being turned upside down. So for those who don't want to go through and find out, I totally understand. I mean, not that it matters what I think anyway, but being from this position, I'm grateful that I did seek the diagnosis, that I do have that information, because I'm watching these other videos on YouTube. I'm getting a better sense of things, a better sense of, I'm still confused with ADHD and autism. I'm still trying to separate those out, because it feels like there are so many overlaps. Sometimes I feel like, I think I can understand when the times that the ADHD part is, battling with autism, and then there's other times where I feel like they are really working together. So those kinds of things I'm still sorting out for myself, and knowing that a good portion of those diagnosed with autism are also diagnosed with ADHD. So just for context there. So yeah, just know that you're not alone. And in one way, it is, sometimes I get mad, maybe not mad, but upset thinking about all these years, right? I didn't know to focus on this, so I focused on what I focused on. And I realized that we're the in-between decades, generations of people that, again, the testing wasn't made available for. So I understand it, but it still upsets me sometimes. And then also being grateful that I'm glad I found out at 53 and not at a later time. I mean, I mean, it would have been fine then too, because whatever, putting things in perspective. But because now I have an opportunity to get to know the real me, my quirks, my frustrations, how to be kind to myself, how to say no about things that I don't want to do instead of feeling pressure, because if I don't do something, then I'm going to look weird and people are going to question it. And not now, I'm not going to use it as an excuse not to live my life either, but to be able to say, you know what, I really don't want to do this. I'm really not comfortable doing this. And giving myself that break, and I'll still challenge myself, but I'll do it without so many blind spots. I'll do it with more intention and self-respect and self-love and self-kindness. One of the things that I've heard throughout videos that I watch on YouTube is how it's not uncommon for autistic people to self-loathe. And I have worked really hard over these decades, especially this last decade, of developing a sense of self-love, strengthening, self-respect and kindness, etc. And now with this missing piece, and I don't know, maybe in the future I'll find out there are more missing pieces, I don't know. But with this missing piece, even more, in some strange way, that I love myself, because I have gone through life. I think for a lot of us autistic, those of us finding out in adulthood, navigating this world has been a challenge. I'm grateful that I've had the strength to push forward, even if that isn't always easy. And thinking that there are millions more of us out there, then we really aren't alone. I wonder if everybody were to just take off their masks and be who they are authentically, how much better this world would be. With people who are loving and kind. And, so often I think when we ourselves feel different, not for everybody, but I think a lot of times a lot of people will offer, grace and compassion, empathy for other people that also feel different. And that grace, that compassion, to me is love. And I really think the world can use a lot more of that these days. Okay. Thank you. If you have any comments, please list them below. And again, the really what I want to say is you aren't alone if you're feeling as though you were going through an identity crisis, wondering who you are. What does this mean for you? Still going through the throes of it myself. Over the past few months, be kind to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Love yourself. Know that you will get the clarity that you are seeking. You're amazing. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. And I am so grateful that you are here. And again, I look forward to many more unmasking and being more authentic as a society about who we are. Thank you for watching. Until next time, be well. Thank you.